Claire's coffee cup trembled against the saucer. Do you remember the last thing they said to us? I stared at her across the cafe table. The smell of burnt espresso couldn't hide the sting of her question. Yes, I said, but my voice was thin. I wish I didn't. Her eyes locked on mine. I don't think you do. You've rewritten it in your head. That was all it took. The years between us and that night evaporated. And I was back there small, hungry, with dirt under my nails and my parents' shadows stretching too long in the fading light. Where are we going? Emily's voice had been light, but I felt her fingers dig into my palm. Martha didn't look back. Just a little walk, she said. Gregory added. Fresh air will do you all some good. Daniel walked ahead of me, trying to look calm, but I could see his jaw twitching. Mom, it's getting dark, he said. We won't be long, Martha replied. Claire tried to match their tone, her voice too bright. See, just a walk. But her other hand was clenched so tight her knuckles were white. Lucas tripped on a root. Sophie helped him up, muttering, I don't like this. Stop whining, Gregory said. He didn't even slow down. I remember the trees swallowing us. The path narrowed until it felt like we were walking into someone's throat, damp and cold. Mom, can we go back now? Olivia asked. Not yet, Martha said. Daniel stepped closer to her. What's going on, Daniel? Gregory warned. His voice sharp. Just walk, read it. Because that's what you did back then. You walked. You didn't ask why. When we finally stopped, I thought it was for a rest. The air was still. The forest pressed in. Gregory put his hands on his knees and said, All right, kids, we need you to stay here for a bit. Why? I asked. Martha crouched down, and for a second I thought she was going to hug me. Instead, she smoothed my hair back and said, We'll be back soon. Emily squeezed my hand. They'll come back, she whispered to me. I whispered back, Right, but my voice broke halfway through. Daniel stepped forward. What does that mean? Gregory straightened. It means we'll be back soon. His tone left no room for argument, but Daniel's eyes were sharp. You're lying, he said. Gregory's jaw tightened. Watch your mouth. Martha touched his arm. Let's go. And then they turned. No kiss, no lingering look. Just the sound of their footsteps crunching the leaves until it faded into nothing. Mom. Sophie's voice cracked. They'll be back, Claire said, her words fast, as if speed could make them true. Lucas started crying. I'm hungry. Shut up, Daniel snapped. Don't yell at him, Olivia said. I'm not. Daniel bit off his words, turned away. Emily's hand was shaking in mine. I leaned in and whispered, it's just for a little while, but my chest felt hollow. We waited. Minutes passed, maybe hours. The dark grew teeth. Claire finally said, maybe they're just getting food. They would have taken one of us, Daniel said flatly, so we could help carry it. Nobody argued. The silence was worse than the dark. I couldn't stop staring down the path they'd walked. In my head, I kept picturing Martha turning back, smiling, saying it was all a joke. But the leaves just kept moving in the wind. Lucas whimpered, my stomach hurts. Mine too, Sophie murmured. I pulled Emily closer, and for a while, the only sound was our breathing. Then Daniel spoke, so quietly I almost missed it. They're not coming back. The cafe noise yanked me back into the present, clinking cups, someone laughing too loudly at another table. Claire was still staring at me. That's what he said, I murmured that night. In the dark, Claire nodded slowly. I just wanted to make sure you hadn't forgotten. I'll never forget, I said. My coffee had gone cold, but I drank it anyway, and I'll never forgive them. The first thing I felt when I woke up was my stomach gnawing at itself. The cold had been bad enough, but the hunger felt like it wanted to hollow me out from the inside. Daniel was pacing, his shoes crunching leaves. We need to move. Sitting here isn't going to make them come back. Claire's voice was scratchy. They will come back. He stopped pacing. You actually believe that? They had no choice, Daniel, she shot back. You heard Dad. Things were bad. Things have been bad for years, Daniel said, his tone hard. Enough to cut. You don't abandon your own blood because it's hard. Sophie rubbed her arms. Maybe they needed time to figure something out. Daniel turned to her. Time to figure out what? How to live without us. Congratulations. They've already started. Lucas whimpered, I'm hungry. I pulled Emily closer. I know, Lucas, we all are. Daniel crouched in front of him. We have to go find food. Claire's arms folded tight across her chest. Go where? We don't even know where we are. That's because they walked us in circles before dumping us here, Daniel said. Probably so we wouldn't find our way back. Stop saying that, Claire snapped. Why? He asked, not even raising his voice now. Because the truth makes you uncomfortable. Her jaw tightened. Because it's not the truth. Daniel laughed, not because anything was funny. You still want to believe they're the kind of people who care. I hated the way his words made something inside me shift, like a rope loosening. I didn't want that rope to break. Emily leaned into me. Do you remember the sound? She whispered. What sound? I asked, though I already knew their footsteps. How they didn't stop, how they didn't even slow down. I closed my eyes. I could still hear it, the fading crunch of leaves under their shoes, the slow fade into silence. It had been the loneliest sound in the world. Sophie's voice broke through my thoughts. If we just wait, Maybe Daniel cut her off. Waiting is what they want. Waiting means we die out. Here, Lucas's lip trembled. We're not gonna die, right? No, Emily said quickly. We won't. Then softer, only for me, will we? I didn't answer. Daniel looked at me. You're the quiet one. What do you think? I swallowed hard. I think we have to do something. We can't just stay here. Claire shook her head. We should stay. If they come back and we're gone, they won't, Daniel said. And if by some miracle they do, they'll find we didn't wait around like helpless kids. Emily gripped my arm. But we are helpless kids. I didn't know what to say to that. We argued until our voices were hoarse. Nobody won. Hunger doesn't care about debates. It just waits, gnawing when the sun shifted high enough to burn spots in my eyes. Daniel finally said, I'm going to find food. Anyone who wants to live can come. No one moved. I sat there, listening to him walk away. And all I could think about was how familiar that sound was. Footsteps fading, not turning back. The smell hit me before I saw him. Warm, sweet, real food. My stomach clenched so hard it hurt. Stay back, Daniel whispered, stepping in front of us. The man came into view, carrying an axe over one shoulder, a bundle of firewood under the other. He stopped when he saw us huddled together. Well, he said, voice rough but not unkind, what have we got here? No one answered. His eyes scanned us, dirty clothes, chapped lips. Too many of us to be some casual picnic gone wrong. You kids lost, he asked. We're fine, Claire said quickly. Her voice cracked halfway through. He raised an eyebrow. Fine, huh? Finey. Fine usually doesn't look like you're about to faint from hunger. I tried to swallow, but there was nothing in my mouth to swallow. He set the wood down and reached into his coat. When his hand came out, there was a small loaf of bread, wrapped in brown paper. Here, he said, holding it out. Daniel didn't move. What do you want? The man blinked. Want. Kid, it's bread. You eat it. End of transaction. Emily looked at me. Her eyes weren't asking for permission. They were begging. Take it, I whispered. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he stepped forward and grabbed it. He didn't eat, just tore it into pieces and handed them out. The first bite was almost painful, my teeth pressing into something solid after nothing for so long. I wanted to cry I didn't, single quotes D. The man watched us chew. So where are your folks? Nobody spoke. Even the forest seemed to wait. Out gathering firewood, he guessed. Or berries. They're close, Claire said. He tilted his head. That's so, yes, she said, too fast, too sharp. Emily's voice wavered. They'll be back soon. Daniel dropped his piece of bread into his lap. No, they won't. Claire shot him a look that could cut glass. Daniel, they left us here, he said, his voice low but solid, like it had been sitting in his chest for too long. On purpose, the man didn't speak. He didn't frown. He didn't even look surprised. He just stood there, bread wrapper dangling from his fingers like he'd heard this before. Something about his silence made my skin itch. Pity was bad, but this was worse, like he'd known from the moment he saw us finally. He said, that's a hell of a thing, Claire snapped. You don't know what happened. Don't need to, he said. I can see it on your faces. Daniel looked straight at him. So you going to leave us too? The man's mouth twitched, not quite a smile. No, I'm going to get you out of here. Emily's grip on my arm tightened. She whispered to town. He said, somewhere you can get warm. Eat something that's not dry bread. Claire shook her head. What if they come back and we're gone? Daniel turned to her. If they come back, they'll see we saved ourselves. That's better than waiting here to starve. I didn't say anything. Shame was already curling inside me like smoke. If we left, it would mean we'd given up on them for good. And part of me still hated how much I didn't want to believe they'd really abandon us. That the man picked up his bundle of wood. You coming or not? I glanced down the path where they'd walked away. The trees looked exactly the same as yesterday. Silent, indifferent. Daniel stood. We're coming. And just like that, the forest, the place I'd last seen my parents, began to disappear behind us. I didn't look back. I'm telling you, Emily. I slammed the chipped cup on the table, my voice louder than I meant. We can't keep living like this. We should leave the city, start something of our own. She snorted, wiping her hands on her apron. With what, Mary? Dreams and pocket lint. Look at you as 15 years old, working in a sewing shop for pennies. I leaned forward. We could save. Her laugh was sharp, almost cruel. Save? You mean the money we don't have after rent and food? You're talking like we're rich folks who fell on hard times. We've been in the dirt so long we smell like it. That stung. So, what? We just stay here, breathing smoke, waiting for the next layoff. Daniel, sitting on the edge of the bed, looked up from mending his boot. Mary's right. We can't do this forever. We're not kids anymore. Emily whipped around. What's your plan, Daniel Steelbread? Sell the shirts off our backs. Daniel shrugged, not rising to the bait. At least I'd be trying. I hated when they fought, but it was becoming our language. Stop, both of you. We need to think, not tear each other apart. From the corner, Claire muttered, thinking doesn't pay the bills. Her voice was flat, but I could hear the bitterness under it. She'd been scrubbing floors for 2 years. Ever since they told her she was too slow for factory work. Lucas pushed through the door with Sophie trailing behind. His face was flushed from the cold. Got half a loaf from Mr. Doyle, said he'd give me more if I clean his yard tomorrow. Sophie's eyes darted to the bread. Can we eat now? Emily took it from Lucas, slicing it into uneven pieces. Small bites, this has to last till morning, Mark groaned. Why do we have to be so careful? We're always hungry anyway. Because, Emily snapped, one wrong move and we don't eat at all. Her words silenced us. Hunger had a way of ending arguments faster than anything. Nights in that room always felt the same, air thick with the smell of damp clothes, quiet except for the groan of floorboards when someone turned over. But my mind never rested. I would lie there and imagine a shop with my name painted on the front, a place that smelled like fresh bread or warm wood, a place where no one could throw us out. The next week I brought it up again. We could sell things, I told Emily, while she kneaded dough at the bakery where she'd found part-time work, simple things, hand-stitched scarves. You're good at sewing. She didn't look at me. And who's going to buy from us? People here barely pay for what they need. Then we leave here, I said. Go where people do. She slammed the dough onto the counter. You think the world wants people like us? Orphan trash who smell like coal smoke. You think money changes that? I stared at her. Yes, I think it does. There was a pause, just the sound of her fists in the dough. You're wrong, she finally said. Softer this time, but I hope you're right. At night, our talk always drifted back to survival. Lucas, I whispered one evening, how much did you make at the yard? 2 shillings, enough for rent. He shook his head. Not even close. I felt my chest tighten. Well, make them regret letting us go, I whispered. He gave me a tired smile. That's a nice thought, Mary. It's not just a thought, I said. It's a promise. The years didn't pass, they crawled. Orphanages to factories to cramped rooms with damp walls. Every job we took was a step up a hill made of mud. We fought, we forgave, we fought again. But underneath the exhaustion, under the hunger, something sharp was growing in me. One day, they'd look for us. And when they did, they wouldn't find the starving children they left behind. They'd find something far stronger. Daniel slammed the small stack of coins onto the table. Every coin we make, he said, breathing hard from hauling crates all day, is one step away from who they wanted us to be. I pushed the coins toward the center, lining them up in neat rows. One step, Shobout. How many more until we're not looking over our shoulders? Claire leaned against the wall, arms crossed. We're not looking back. That's the whole point. Emily's voice cut through. Not looking back. Tell that to your brother here. She jabbed a finger at me. He still wants to find them. My jaw tightened. I never said I wanted to find them. Yes, you did. She leaned forward, eyes sharp. You said you wanted answers. Daniel looked between us. Answers aren't the same as going back. Emily scoffed. What's the point if you still want to see them? They didn't care then. They won't care now. I stared at the coins, my thumb running over the worn edges. I don't know if it's revenge. I want a closure. Maybe both. Maybe neither. Silence. Even the market noise outside seemed far away. We'd been hustling for years. Markets, day labor, cleaning, repairs. Every deal was a step higher. But the air still smelled of the dirt we'd crawled through. The next day, the market, Daniel was bargaining with a man over crates of apples. 3 copper per crate. The man said that. Daniel shook his head. 2.5, and we'll take 6. You know we're good for it. The man frowned. You think because you're buying more, I'll drop my price? I stepped in. Not think. No, because if you don't, we'll take our coins to Thomas across the square, and we won't come back. The man's eyes narrowed, but he dropped his voice. Fine, 2.5. But you owe me a favor. No, Daniel said before I could answer. We owe nothing. We left with the apples. Daniel smirking. Every coin, he repeated. At night, we gathered in the cramped back room of our shop, more of a storage space than a home, but it was ours. Claire counted the day's earnings. Not bad. Enough to cover rent, supplies, and maybe she glanced at me. A little saved. Emily shook her head. Saved for what? A bigger shop or a trip back to that hellhole? Emily, I started. She slammed her palm down. No, we need to forget. That's the only way we win. Daniel leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Or maybe winning means showing them we're not what they left behind. They wouldn't care. Emily's voice cracked. You think they'd clap for us? Say sorry. No, they'd see strangers. I felt the words before I said them. Maybe I need to see them see me, even if it hurts. No one spoke after that. We just sat there, the sound of coins clinking against wood, the smell of apples in the dark. Weeks passed in deals, in sweat, in moments that felt like victories, until I lay in bed and thought about her face, our mother's. Did she even remember mine? One night as we closed the shop, Daniel stopped me at the door. You know, he said quietly, I think you're chasing something you can't catch. I looked at him. Maybe, but I'd rather run after it than wander forever. He nodded. Slowly. Just don't trip us all while you're running. I wanted to tell him I wouldn't, but the truth was, I wasn't sure. Daniel slammed the envelope onto the table like it was a weapon. Read it, he said, voice low but shaking. I hesitated. The paper looked harmless, thin, and fragile, but my hands already knew it carried weight, the kind that could crush 20 years of walls. Claire grabbed it first, tearing it open. Her eyes flicked across the words, and her lips parted, they're dying. The room went silent, except for my heart, which seemed to be pounding in my ears. Good, Daniel snapped, shoving his chair back so hard it scraped the floor. Finally, Emily's voice was quiet, but sharp. You don't mean that? The hell I don't. Daniel leaned forward, jabbing his finger at the letter. They left us to starve, to rot, and now they want what pity a parade. I typed, swallowed, my throat dry. We have to go. His head whipped toward me. You mean you? They're still our parents, I said, softer than I intended. Daniel's face twisted. No, they stopped being that the day they walked away. I wanted to fight back, but the words caught in my chest. My mind flashed to the nights in that cramped, rented room, all of us shivering under one thin blanket, waiting for a knock that never came. Claire set the letter down like it might burn her fingers. They're living in some rundown apartment outside the city. Barely enough money for food, they're sick. Yet Daniel's laugh was bitter. That's called karma. Emily crossed her arms. You think watching them die is going to fix anything? It's not about fixing anything, he said. It's about not letting them rewrite the ending. They made their choice, now they live with it. My voice cracked. And if we don't go, what does that make us? Survivors, Daniel shot back. Lucas, who'd been quiet in the corner, finally spoke. Or cowards. Daniel turned on him. Cowards, for refusing to play their little guilt game. Lucas didn't flinch, for not facing them. I watched the air between them thicken, the years of resentment rising to the surface. My stomach churned. I wasn't sure if I wanted to throw up or cry. Sophie's voice cut through, trembling. I used to dream they'd come back, even after I knew they wouldn't. And now I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Daniel sighed, rubbing his face. Feel relief. Feel nothing. That's safer. Olivia, the youngest, almost whispered. But what if they just wanted to see us one last time? Daniel slammed his fist onto the table. Stop making them human. They weren't human when they left us in that forest. The words hit like a slap. I could still see that day, the trees closing in, the silence after their footsteps faded, the cold setting in, and yet something in me refused to let go completely. I stared at the letter. The handwriting was shaky, unfamiliar in its weakness. I imagined them hunched over a table, coughing between sentences, trying to find the right words to reach us. I'm going, I said finally. Daniel's jaw tightened. Then you're going alone? No, Claire said firmly. If they're dying, we should all. They don't deserve all of us. Daniel cut her off. They don't deserve any of us. I pushed my chair back, the legs screeching against the floor. Maybe they don't, but maybe I need this. Not for them, for me. He shook his head, almost in disgust. You're still looking for something that's not there. Maybe, I admitted. But if I don't look, I'll always wonder. The table stayed silent after that. The letter sat between us, like a wound no one wanted to touch. Inside, I felt the pull, not toward forgiveness, not toward love, but toward an answer. I didn't know if it would heal me or hurt me, but I knew I couldn't turn away. The tires crunched over gravel as we pulled into the clearing. The forest looked the same, the air smelled the same, but the cars were different, sleek black, and nothing like the rusted pickup they'd left us in 20 years ago. Daniel killed the engine and didn't move. I could hear his breathing, sharp and uneven. They're here, Claire whispered from the back seat. I looked out the window. Two figures sat on a weather-worn bench under the same crooked oak. Martha's hands were folded in her lap. Gregory hunched beside her. They looked smaller, older, fragile in a way that made me feel nothing like pity. Emily opened her door. Let's get this over with. We stepped out together. No one rushed to greet us. No one cried. Martha was the first to speak. Her voice, it was soft but steady. You've done well for yourselves. Daniel laughed under his breath. That's the first thing you say. Gregory scratched his chin. It's good to see you. We've had hard times. I took a step forward, my voice low. Do you remember that night? Martha blinked. What night? I felt my chest tighten. The night you left us here. She tilted her head, as if trying to summon a distant memory. I don't remember it like that. Daniel's jaw locked. Of course you don't. Claire's voice trembled. We were kids. 8 of us. You drove away and never came back. Gregory sighed. You don't understand. We couldn't feed you. We thought someone would find you. You thought. Emily's tone cut like glass. We almost died. Martha's eyes darted between us. We did what we had to do. No, Daniel snapped, stepping closer. You did what was easiest for you. There's a difference. I stared at her. My hands felt cold, even though the sun was warm. Do you know what it was like? Sleeping in the dirt. Listening to my younger brothers cry because their stomachs hurt. Do you know what it's like to have no one come? Martha swallowed hard but didn't answer. Gregory muttered, we made mistakes. Mistakes. I could feel my voice shaking now. A mistake is burning dinner. Abandoning your children is not a mistake. It's a choice. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the wind and the leaves. Martha finally stood, her hands trembling. We were desperate. I was sick. Gregory had lost his job. Daniel cut her off. Stop. Just stop. Don't try to rewrite it. Claire's eyes were wet. Why now? Why call us back after 20 years? Gregory looked down at his shoes. We're not well. And we didn't want to die without what? Emily demanded. Without clearing your conscience. Martha's lips parted, but nothing came out. I felt an ache in my chest I couldn't name. Part of me wanted to turn around and leave them there. Another part wanted to scream until my voice broke. Instead, I whispered, we survived without you. We built everything you see without you. Every coin we earned, every roof we slept under, every meal we had, it was without you. Martha's face crumpled. I'm sorry. Daniel's voice was iced. Too late. Gregory tried again. We thought maybe you could forgive. Claire shook her head. Forgiveness isn't a door you can knock on when you're ready. It's one you slammed shut for us 20 years ago. Silence again. I glanced at my siblings. Daniel's hands were in fists. Emily's lips pressed tight. Claire's shoulders shook. Whether from rage or grief I couldn't tell. I turned back to Martha. I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't even know if I want to. Her eyes pleaded. We're still your parents. Daniel's voice broke, but not with softness, only with fury. No. You stopped being that 20 years ago. I felt my throat tighten. I remembered the cold nights, the hunger, the fear, and I remembered the first time I made a deal in the market, the first time we all laughed after years of silence. We'd rebuilt ourselves from nothing. Gregory opened his mouth, but I held up my hand. Don't ask us for anything. Not forgiveness, not money, not a place to stay. You made your choice. Now live with it. Martha's tears came then, falling silently onto her lap. Daniel turned away first, heading for the car. Claire followed, then Emily. I lingered for just a moment longer, staring at the two people who had once been my entire world. I thought I might feel closure. Instead, I just felt hollow. When I finally walked away, I didn't look back. Emily was the first to break the silence. So this is it. Her voice cracked, like the words were too heavy to carry. Martha was crying into Claire's shoulder. Daniel stood far back, arms crossed, looking anywhere but at them. I kept my eyes on the gravel beneath my shoes. Gregory stepped toward me. I know I can't undo the past, but I jerked my hand away before he could touch me. Don't. The word came out sharp enough to cut. He winced. I just wanted to. You wanted to survive back then, I said. And you did. We didn't. We were left to rot. Martha turned her head, still clutching Claire. We were desperate. You think it was easy for us. You think it was easy for us. My voice rose, shaking. I was 12. 12, Martha, and you left us in the dark like we didn't matter. Daniel let out a dry laugh from the edge of the clearing. They still don't think we mattered. Gregory's lips pressed into a thin line. We thought you'd be better off starving. I shot back. Better off hating ourselves because the only people who were supposed to protect us didn't. Emily's hand brushed my arm. Maybe we should just know, I said, eyes still on them. They don't get to rewrite what happened. Martha's tears turned into something harder. We're old now, sick. We thought maybe. She glanced at me, then away. We thought maybe you could find it in your hearts to forgive us. The word forgive twisted inside me like a knife. Daniel stepped forward then, his voice low but venomous. You stopped being our parents 20 years ago. I watched Martha flinch at that. She deserved to. Nobody spoke for a while. The air felt heavier than the years between us. I could hear the wind pushing through the trees. The same sound I remembered the night they left us only back then. It was louder, crueler. One by one, my siblings made their choices. Claire hugged Martha and Gregory like she'd been waiting for it. Emily stood in the middle, torn, her arms crossed. Daniel walked straight past them without a glance. I stayed until the last moment, watching Martha's shaking hands, Gregory's sunken eyes. They looked small now, powerless, but that didn't erase what they'd done. Gregory tried again. I'm sorry. I shook my head. No, you're sorry for yourself, not for us. Then I turned and walked toward the cars. Emily followed, quiet. At first, only when we reached the door did she speak. Do you feel better? She asked. I stared at the forest, the same trees that had swallowed us 20 years ago. No, I said. Then I let the next word slip out, softer, truer, but I feel free. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. The weight of it was enough when the engine started and the clearing faded in the rearview mirror. I realized there was nothing left to say because the most important things had already been stolen from us, and they were never coming back.